And just the other month, I spent a month down in the villages and I did a video on single in the villages. Now it's just on one group. Now I'm doing part 2 to talk a little bit more about being single in the villages. Let's go ahead and get started. Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm Rusty Nelson and welcome to my YouTube channel about the villages. Now I started this channel some time ago when I made my first visit to the villages. Actually started when I made my first phone call to the villages, and it seems like it's come a long way. I never knew I was going to be doing this many videos, but last week I did a video after visiting the villages for a month. I did a video on a group called Single in the Villages. Now I do get a lot of questions about the villages and being single myself, about what it's like being single in the villages. And I do know just from the questions that a lot of people have had problems down there. They don't know how to meet people. But let me assure you, there are plenty of groups to help you get acquainted with the villages. You just have to reach out. Now, last week I did a video on a group called Single in the Villages. Now, it just so happens these are the people that I met up with, and they agreed to do an interview after spending about a month with them. It was a wonderful group. If you haven't seen that video, please watch this. This is actually part 2, and it was inspired because I got so many questions in the comment area about being single, about people being afraid to come down here. So let me say, first of all, that moving to the villages is like moving to a city or a town or a village, whatever you want to call it. Things don't magically change about being single by moving to the villages. One thing that's unique, though, is versus, say, moving to Philadelphia or moving to someplace in Arizona that's just a regular town, is a lot of the villages is geared towards meeting people and activities and groups. And the thing is that a lot of those people are going to be 55 and over. So there's going to be people in your age group as long as you're 55 or over. So when you go out to a bar someplace, if that's what you choose to do one night and go have dinner, those people are generally going to be of your age group. And that's the unique thing about the villages. Now, please, if you haven't seen that other video, go ahead and watch that, because I spent about a month with these folks at Single in the Villages. There are pages on Facebook, so you can see it through there, but you do have to be a resident, like most of these groups, of the villages. But what I want to talk to you about today is the fact that there are other things to think about, and there are other groups. And I realized after doing that last video that it kind of seemed like that this was the group. Now, it was a group that I got along with, I got to be friendly with, and now I'm going to kind of tell you about some of the other groups that may make you feel a little bit better about the villages and how you can find them. Once again, moving to the villages and being single isn't necessarily going to be any easier than moving to any other city, except for the fact that people are your own age, and it is really set up to be group-oriented so that you can find groups with people of your interest. And as you'll see, as soon as we get started here, there are groups of singles that, say, are interested in golf or dance or going out to dinner. You just have to go out and apply yourself. If you sit inside your house, and the villages is definitely not meant to be sitting inside your house, that's for sure. If you sit inside your house, you're not going to get involved in anything. You have to come out and do things and try to get involved. And that doesn't mean that you pick one group and say, oh, well, that didn't work. They were too old. They were too young. They were too active. All they did is dance. You've got to try them all out and make it a project and have fun going out and doing it. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of these different groups and see whether maybe it's something that appeals to you. Let's go ahead and get started on the first one. Wait, stop, hold the presses. Before we jump any further, let me explain something. Most of these groups are the people that run them are all volunteers. I need to explain this. So you don't want to expect that a lot of these groups are very formal and organized. Some of them are kind of haphazard. A lot of people that start them don't know about SEO or, advertising on the internet or getting the word out. So a lot of them are word of mouth. Some people want to keep their group kind of small. Some of them are small groups. Most of them you have to apply to get into. Many of them have boards. They actually have formal boards that meet every so often to guide the group. And like I said, they're not hookup groups. These are not like dating groups. They're mostly to get people together that are single of common interests, and that's what you're going to find. But the great thing about the villages, in other words, I think it's a wonderful thing about the villages. And if you look back at the last group that I did, Single in the Villages, that's only a couple years old, and I think they have probably close to 2,000 members now, is the fact that if you don't like what you see, or you don't like any certain groups, or you don't feel that the groups that are there are covering your interests, go ahead and make your own group. The Villages supplies a whole avenue of how to do that, how to get started and make your own group, and you can do whatever you want. Now, let's go ahead and try this once again. Go to black and let's get started. All right, here we go. First one out of the chute is Single Baby Boomers. Now, this group encompasses pretty much all of the villages geographically, and you'll see why I say that in a second. And it is a group. This is their homepage right here. And as you can see, there's a lot of things to do. The big thing about this group is you have to be born between 1946 and 1964. That's just the way it is. And you can pretty much live anywhere in the villages. As you can see, to get into parts of the website, you have to be a member, of which I am not right now because I don't live at the villages. But you can go over to the About page and see they were started in 2010. They started with about 85 members. They had 1,100 in 2019. No idea what it is now, but it's solely run by dedicated volunteers. And that's the important. Most of these things are volunteers that do this. And they coordinate in the activities such as pickleball, golf, bowling, samba, hiking, Tuesday and Friday night dinner, go out to lunch. So as you can see, there's a lot of things to do. And then it talks about where they meet. And eventually you'll get to where there's phone numbers and you can connect with people. Now, there is also another group it's not part of the same thing, but it has a geographic location, and it's called Single Boomers South, and it says the newest single club in the villages. Now, that's not quite true, but it does encompass single village residents who live south of 466A, which is about in the middle of the villages at this point in time. And people understand why I'm laughing because it is quickly changing. But you have to be born the same between 1946 and 1964. Members group participate in an array of activities, including golf, water, volleyball, pickleball, game night, book night, club more. And as you can see, they have golf activities. They have executive golf on Tuesday, executive golf scramble, and you can get on lists for that. Special events, and they also have a calendar. There's guidelines for them and so on and so on. And as you can see, for most of these groups, there's actually an application process, and somebody looks over that application. And on a few of them, it does cost money to join the group. Somebody's got to pay for that administration and stuff like that. So for here, you can see Single Boomer South application dues, $15 for the first year, which includes $5 for a name tag and where they meet, so on and so on. And then as long as you supply your membership number, then you can get in. That's the way it works. Now, these are two groups that host multiple activities. There's a lot within each of these groups. Let's take a look at something that's just a little bit more specific. As you can see, those groups encompass a whole bunch of activities. So it's single people, either the whole villages or just like half of the southern part of the villages, either group, but they're groups that encompass all types of activities. So you could probably find anybody to hang out with in there. Just kind of join them, and you got to kind of peck and feel around. Now, there are some groups that are much more specific. Let's take a look at a couple of them, and they deal with golf. Now, there's no doubt that at the Villages, there is plenty of golf going on. As you can see, the other groups also dealt with golf also, but there are two and maybe more specific groups that deal with golf and singles, and there is one that's part of a national group, the American Singles Golf Association, for which you can see up here in the left-hand corner, this is the Villages Florida chapter. And they do not only golf activities, but there's other activities once you start to meet people within that. There's also another group, and it is called Singles Golfers of the Villages, SGV. And I know there are some differences between the groups and what they do. I've heard one that's a little more lax than the other. Some play more 9-hole golf than the others, and some play more of the championship hole golfers. But once again, you just got to kind of go in and poke around. And the idea is that there's actually clubs that just play golf with single folks. Let's go ahead and take a look at some other areas. Now, I know this group, the Villages Singles Club, I think they've been around for a while, and actually they, I believe, are located up north, but as you know, everybody travels all over the place around the Villages. But by just looking at the group, you can come down to their Villages Single Club calendar and take a look. They got pickleball every Wednesday night. They've got dine and dance. They play a lot of bocce. Bowl and dine, bowl and dine, bowl and dine. So there's bowling and dining, talent rehearsal of some type, and then come over to, like I said, you got to explore all these, and it'd probably take you a year to get through all these. But here is part of one of their newsletters, meetings first and third Monday at La Hacienda Rec Center. Here's the people to get in touch with. Dine and dance, newcomers welcome breakfast. So don't ever tell me that there's not a lot of things to do here in the Villages. And speaking of dine and dance, let's go ahead and take a look at the next group here. Now, here's a group that deals directly with singles and dance. And I believe they meet down in Rohan, which is a little bit further south. Whether you're a current member considering membership, take a few minutes to learn more about the club, distinctive offering singles, and jump up here and go about us. The original concept was to provide a venue for singles to meet, socialize once a month at the Villages Recreation Center, to provide an opportunity for members to become acquainted with each other in a friendly atmosphere. The club is a lounge type dancing club and not ballroom dancing. So it is kind of specific, and it's a smaller group, and I'm sure you can, if you like dancing, it may be something that you want to venture into. Let's take a look at a couple more real quick, and I will show you right here at the end soon a way you can look up just about any type of group you want to find in the Villages. Here we go, one more. I'm going to run through a couple of these really quick, and it doesn't mean they're less important. I'm going to show you here in a few seconds how you can actually find groups on your own. So here's one, Sumter Singles, obviously up in that area. They cover a bunch of areas, activities, that type of thing. Bocce Shuffle on Friday night. They got a golf scramble. Everybody does something with golf a lot. Maybe not the dance club, but a lot of them do. They got walking on Tuesdays and Thursdays. There's some information about the board member. And remember, I said to you about no-show policy. They're pretty serious about that. If you sign up for something, they want you to show up for it. The Villages unattached singles, I believe this is something that's further down south, and they have a Facebook page on there. But as you can see, it's kind of closed off and private, and you can go ahead and join the group, and I'm sure they'd be happy to have you. Now, here is something that you can find over on the districtgov.org, and this is the club listing page. So this is a pretty important thing when you're trying to find different clubs, that's for sure. Now, take a look at this. I'm going to scroll through this just so you can get a general idea. Yep, we're up to 50 pages. 50, 60, 80. 90, 100, 120, 129, 130, 140, 160, 184 pages of clubs. Now, I would say there's a club for just about everything. And like I said, you can go ahead and make your own club if not. But I'm going to show you an easy way to kind of maneuver with this. Now, I'm on a Windows machine, but if you hit Control F, you'll get up here in the right-hand corner, you'll get a search tab. And if you just type in singles and hit that, that'll show you we're right now on 2 of 22, and we'll click down a couple here. And I'm going to enlarge just a little bit, and we just click through those. So we're on the third of the word singles, and it says cards, village, singles, cards, and games. So I imagine this is a group, but it will give phone numbers, and this is public information, and you can call whoever this is. Now, look this up if you want, because these numbers and stuff change all the time, and they keep them up to date. But like I said, 160 pages, and I will put this link down below. As you can tell, there are a lot of groups, and that wasn't all the groups by any means. Even when we went to the .org site, there we typed in singles, and right away there was a single card group that came up. So there's a lot. I guess what I'm saying is there's a lot to the people that wrote in the comments and stuff and seemed worried about coming down to singles. Remember, moving to the villages is no different. Like I said in the very beginning of this, no different than moving into any city, except it has a lot of benefits. So if you're trying to go out and be active, there's a lot of people to go out and be active with. Once again, let me say, when you sign up for these things, most likely you're going to have to be a resident at the time. Maybe somehow you can do those if you rent part-time. I don't know. You'd have to ask them individually. But I hope that this kind of sets you at ease, because I know there's a lot of worry when you're going to move, and you're going to move away from people, and you know, death, dying, taxes, all that stuff is big in the worry world. But I hope this helps a little bit and shows you how to find some areas for singles. Anyway, if you have any comments or you have any ideas for other singles groups down at the villages, please go ahead and put it down in the comments down below. I will put links to these different websites on there that I have found, and if you put in there, I'll add some more. And go ahead and get in contact with me through the comments thing if you need to. But please go ahead and subscribe. I always appreciate that. And if you've watched this far, just reach down below, hit the thumbs up, the like button, because it really helps these get out there. Anyway, thanks a lot. I really appreciate you watching. And as I always say, I'll either see you back on the videos or I'll see you down in the villages. Have a great day.